Well, even with Banks, like I got, like people gonna be like, yo, watch, when they see the track list, I already know they're gonna be like, yo, this man got like 6 on there. And they're not gonna realize I probably sent him over 100 beats at this point. That's crazy. Easily.
Deme D, man. Hip hop was good. This is the DagogetaTv. I'm your guy, Deme D, and we back with another episode of On Deck with Deme, where I bring you the dopest interviews with some of the best MCs and producers in the game. And I'm here, man. I'm here with a rising producer. Got my guy, Cartune Beatz, man. What's good, G?
What's good, my guy? Appreciate you having me, man.
No doubt. Thank you for pulling up. So, you know, we're going to do what we do, man. We're going to talk that hip-hop shit. We're going to talk that music shit. And everybody has a spiel. So what I always start my interviews with is, what does hip-hop mean to you?
Good question. Hip hop it means a lot to me. It's been a big part of my life. Obviously, it's a huge part of my life now. You know, I started off as like an athlete playing ball, but I was always
basketball.
Yeah, playing basketball. So I was always listening to hip hop. You know, coming up, before games, after games, and all that stuff. And then you know, I transitioned into trying to make it and making beats and things like that. So hip hop is, that's a daily part of my life now. It's like brushing my teeth in the morning.
Lifestyle, man, lifestyle. That's why I love this is where you get hip hop too on my channel. So real quick though, what position you was playing?
I played the two guard. Had a nice little jump shot. Back in the day.
Just killing with the jump shot. You did your slinging? I ain't gonna do it to you, man. I ain't gonna do it to you. I gotta look that one up. So you mentioned that you transitioned to producer. How long would you say you've been like active? I know you've been doing it for a while, but how long you would say you've been active and you've been starting placing and making your rounds in the game?
Well, I've been active for going on 10 years, but like taking it serious about like 8. Originally when I started making beats, it was kind of just for like fun, just because I loved hip hop.
Right.
And then I realized, like from what I was making, it was sounding good, like to me. But I also started to let other people hear it, and they were just like, "Yo, you should try to get these to people. These aren't bad." And I pretty much I kept at it from there. I started networking on Twitter back when Twitter was what Instagram is now.
That's a good point.
Started to get in touch with some artists, and honestly, I had like a decent little run like initially. I know sometimes it takes people some time to get some placements, but Twitter made everybody accessible. So I was starting to get emails I was sending out, and I started to get some placements with some artists that were, they were above where I was in the game. So that was just like motivation, like, all right, so I could actually like take this serious, and it was, I started sending out beats just to kind of see if I'd even get feedback, and I was getting feedback and then some, like artists like, yo, I want to use this beat. So I had to start, figuring out like, what the process was as a producer. I had to start educating myself on pretty much like the business part of the game and all that stuff, because that's important too.
Yeah, a lot goes into that. I think people miss that part. So you touched on, I want to double back to a lot of that stuff there, because that's a lot of good information. And also I want you to point out that the fact that how you said, well, first of all, we connected on Twitter too.
Facts.
So that just shows, like you said, how it gives you the reach and how you took the initiative to reach out to people. So I want people to just not skip over that part, because a lot of people think shit is just gonna happen or fall on their lap. So I like that you mentioned that you reached out to people and you took your chance, took your shot, and then that's what has to happen. But so I do want to double back on that. But I want you to flex on these motherfuckers real quick, because right now you recently did some work with one of my favorite artists of all time, one of the illest ones to do it. And this guy was been on a semi-hiatus for a little bit. So you got to work with Lloyd Banks on his latest project, man. He hasn't dropped the album in a minute, so this was a big moment, especially in Twitter world, hip hop world. So I mean, like you mentioned, you built your name up, you started making your connects. So I mean, how did you manage to get involved with that? Because Banks is like a damn ghost out this month.
Yo, he's still a ghost now.
He's still a ghost, but like, and you got a couple of tracks on there too. The course of the Inevitable album too. I gotta plug that too. Shit was dope as fuck.
Appreciate that.
Well, yeah, you got 3 joints on there.
So how it started is, and I'm still not even 100% sure how he heard the initial beat, which was Sidewalk. So I found his engineer on Instagram. Like you said, it's not about It's about you kind of looking, taking steps and things like that. So I found his engineer, and I found out like, you know, Banks was working on something. So I was sending his engineer, and then also Banks put out an email. And you know, the second he put out an email, that's flooded.
Yeah, he does that on Twitter too.
Every now and then he'll do that. Like, so that email, that's flooded within an hour or so.
Right, work.
So I was sending to his engineer, but I also sent to that email too. This was all within a span of like a couple of days. So I wasn't like just being solely dependent on like the engineer, because you don't know, if you don't have the relationship with him, he might take one of your beats, 5 of his homeboys, and send them through. You don't know.
It's not always about the beats.
So I sent them both to the engineer, and then I sent them to the email that Banks posted. So pretty much like the day after I sent, like, I probably sent like 10, 12 beats.
That's a good amount, right?
Yeah, that's a decent amount. So I got like a DM at probably at like 3 in the morning, which from the engineer.
Same next day.
The night of me, like I sent them kind of during the day, and then I got a DM.
That's dope.
I got a DM from his engineer saying like, yo, we got one. Banks recorded to it. He told me the name of the beat. And I was just like, I was kind of shocked.
I know you had to be.
I was just like, I mean, because I know, like, you know, I knew my beats were good, but I know it's not about that. It's about timing, everything. They might skip your email because somebody tapped them on the shoulder. It's like little things like that.
Little shit like that. Can you repeat that though, please, man? Because it's little shit like that.
They could be scrolling through their email. They might have to get up, walk away, and then they get 10 more. Your email came out of focus or whatever, and then they click. It's when you're not working with them in person, it's just like that.
Just like that. So that's dope.
But yeah, so he hit me. He told me, he was like, yeah, we got this song with Banks. It came out crazy. So we'll keep you posted. So I think it was like 8 in the morning. I went on Twitter and I like just tweeted. I was like, yo, I'm pretty sure I just got a placement with Lloyd Banks. And he saw it and he retweeted it. So I was like, all right, yeah, this is legit. So he retweeted it and then he followed me. So I DM'd him. I was just like, yo, I heard you killed one of my beats or whatever. He was just like, yeah, I think this might be like the intro or whatever. And then, you know, most people is like celebrating and stuff. I'm like, yo, you still working? I got more. And he was just like, yeah, send some more through. So
which one was the one that?
Sidewalk.
Sidewalk? That was the first initial one?
Yeah, because I think initially they were supposed to make that the intro. Because if you look at the trailer that they did, I scored that too. He had a trailer on YouTube.
Black and white shit?
Yeah.
That shit was fire.
Yeah, I did like the music background for all that, and that's why you can hear the same piano.
Okay.
That so he said like, yeah, he was still recording everything. So the next beat I sent him was the beat for Empathy. So I sent him that, and he hit me back on Twitter. He was like, yo, this is fire. I'm about to go on this right now. He got that out the way like quick, right away. So then, you know, I'm still sending, and I already knew. I spoke to the engineer, and it was like the project was pretty much done. So I like the placements that I was getting was pretty much adding on, you know, to what was pretty much done. So he felt like that strongly about those. And then like last minute, like a couple days after that, I sent the beat for Falsified that he put Ransom on. And the same day I sent it, the same day he recorded it and cut the track. And engineer, he was just like, yo, we got 3. All 3 is on the album. He's like, we mixing up everything right now. He's like, but you got 3 placements on Lloyd Banks' album. And oh, by the way, it's Jason. Jason Bombay 3000. He's a cool dude.
That's his engineer?
His engineer, yeah.
Shout out to him, man, for real.
Yeah, he kept me in the loop of like everything that was going on. Cause you know, Banks, he be busy. Banks, he'll let you know and all that, but
a lot of the times that is who does shit like that. It's the person's publicist, their manager, the engineer. Sometimes they're the producer they cool with, so shout out to Jason, man, for real.
Yeah, and it was just crazy because again, all of them, either engineer, Jason, he even told me, he was just like, yo, he was like, you got 3 placements on an album that was like done. He definitely rocked with your sound. And I was the only producer to have 3 on there.
Yeah, only one.
And so, I mean, that was just like a big boost. And then after that, it was just like a waiting game to when it dropped.
So, what was the time frame when you hearing this to when it actually dropped?
It was early. It was like
Oh, so you had to wait.
Yeah, because I was sending in like February, March, and then it dropped in June.
Yeah,
so
about a summer.
Yeah, it was a little wait. It wasn't like crazy, but
I mean, you knew it was legit, but yeah, that is a little wait right there. So I mean, that's dope, man. And I just want to point out too, like you mentioned it too, that it's not just about the actual skills or talent. A lot of your work ethic played a part in that shit too. Your persistence played a part.
Everything, man.
Because like you mentioned, you say he put out the instrument. I'm not instrumental. He put out the email asking for beats, right? So on top of you sending it to that, and you sent it to his engineer.
Might as well give yourself 2 chances to get a placement.
A lot of people just send it to the email and they're like, I'm grinding.
Yeah.
Like, nah, nigga, you're not grinding. You're not grinding. So salute to that, man. And a lot of this is timing too. Like you mentioned, he could have just easily missed the email, or Banks maybe pushed the album to another year. So so a lot of it is timing. So salute to that. But yeah, I just wanted to take that moment because that's a big moment again. Like I said, for the culture, man. Because we were Banks fans. We've been waiting for this album. I can't front. I sold out for a minute. I thought it wasn't coming out. I'm like, this nigga ain't dropping no more albums. So that shit was just the best for me. I went to his show in August. The one he had in New York, shit was fire. I love the album. I play that shit to death. I love your tracks. The shit with I think maybe Ransom or Styles P might be the best feature. I don't know, but Dope Johnson.
Ransom went off.
Ransom went off. Banks is just killing that whole shit. So I just want to take that moment to shout out Banks, shout out you, and get the story on that. So I want to talk about we didn't talk about where you from though, man. Let the people know where you from, where you represent.
Well, I was born in Harlem.
Are you a Harlem cat?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was born there. I lived there for like probably like 10, 11 years. We was on 140th and Lenox, and then we moved to like 108th Central Park West. 140th and Lenox it wasn't the best area.
Okay.
My mom, she was just trying to get us out of there. And then after that, we went to like 108th Central Park West. Better area, still wasn't the best. And then my mom was just like, yo, I'm trying to get, cause I got a twin brother, by the way, that he produces too.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
What does he go about?
800 Hertz. 800 Hertz.
That name sound familiar.
Yeah, he's tough. So yeah, my mom wanted like a complete change. So she actually moved us down to Florida, where I went to half of middle school, high school, and then I ended up moving back to the Bronx. I was with my dad, so I bounced around a lot. And then, I told you I played ball. I played for my community college in Pennsylvania. I played there for 2 years. Yeah, I played there for 2 years. Then I transferred to Farmingdale State out here. I played ball for like a semester, and then I wanted to just keep going with like the music and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been a lot of places, but I was originally born in
New York cat. You a New York cat. I'm saying, well, it's dope when you do get that kind of experience.
Yeah.
Other places, just to soak up some of their lifestyle and their thought process. Because I was talking with the cameraman on the way here, man. New York is a whole different monster.
Yeah.
And they have you thinking that's how it is everywhere else.
Yeah, and it's not.
It's really not. So that's dope, man. So you mentioned you transitioned from ball. Like, what was that process like as far as you like? I know you mentioned people said that you were good at it, but it had to be a point where it was just like fresh starting. Yeah. So it was just your love of the music. It's like, I really want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved music. Like, listening to people like Banks and like the G Unit era, that honestly, all that was a part of basketball for me, because that's how I got hyped before my game. So, they say like sometimes like your memories can be tied to music.
Absolutely.
And when I think of like certain like songs and eras of music, that's when I was like hooping and stuff like that. So, the transition was just that I realized that, I wasn't necessarily just being object. Some people just make stuff, and you might have something and you might think it's the hottest thing in the world just because you made it. But once I started to get feedback from other people, I was just like, yo, you know what? Let me just I don't have anything to lose by letting other people hear it and putting myself out there. So it was a start from the bottom with, getting on Twitter, 10 followers, and using like SoundCloud, posting beats and stuff like that.
That's what I want to get into. What equipment did you start with?
I use FL Studio, so that's just on the computer. So luckily you don't need nothing crazy. You just need maybe some headphones. So I had that program. I actually had it for a very long time before I even really started using it. I had that probably for at least 3 or 4 years before I even started like really trying to like produce and stuff. And I figured I had it and it was just something to do in the spare time, but I also liked it, you know? So I started like, you know, just using it more, researching like certain things and just making beats on it. And the beats was coming out good. And I also started to hold myself to like a high standard where like I wanted my beats to sound like what I was hearing on the radio.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the keys that like helps me to the point where it's not like you're copying what you're hearing, but there's a standard of quality.
There's a standard.
Yeah.
Especially with the actual sound.
Right.
Because it's been times, you know, I work with a lot of aspiring artists, aspiring producers, and sometimes you have to let them hear the difference. Like as a producer, we were telling like, yo, your beats are good, but just listen to the sound. It's not that we want you, you know what I'm trying to say, the actual like recording, the actual sound, the sonics, not the style of the beat. But so damn, I lost my train of thought.
I think he was asking like how I got started and.
So, what was the time frame from when you started to when you felt you were good? Like, oh no, this shit is good, and not whether anybody else liked it, but when you felt like, yo, this shit is good.
Honestly, right away.
Right away? Ah, shit. Okay, well, you mentioned that's when you went to let people hear it. It wasn't that long before you let people hear it.
Yeah.
It was friend, family, a rapper, just give them they shine, whoever, if you can remember.
Probably friends and family. Obviously, like with my twin brother, he would listen to him. He said it was good, but I also had one of my close friends, Corey. He was out in Pennsylvania. He was a big hip hop head too, but he would listen, and you know he would be like, yo, these are like you gotta like he gave me like the nod that like, yo, you don't have anything to lose. You might as well just let people hear him and, you know, and see what could happen. I overwhelmingly, I got like a good amount of support from like the people that were close that heard it. Cause sometimes, you know, you gotta worry if they're gonna be honest. That's really what happened.
You gotta worry, or you gotta worry about whether they're gonna be honest, and then you gotta worry about whether they're gonna be overly judgmental.
Yeah, that's true too.
Covered in hate.
Facts.
Jealousy. Something's like, no, that shit whack. Knowing damn well it's fire. So salute to Corey though, man, because like you said, people like that are part of your stories. Like you said, he gave you the, you know, well, maybe not give you the motivation, but you know what I mean. He gave you that support, that confidence, added to the confidence you had already.
Right.
So we kind of need that. Shout out to Corey though.
Facts.
So, what was the Cause we mentioned the bank shit, right? Before we get into all the other placements you did, when you actually placed, right? Was it a relief or was it more pressure?
For me, it was both.
I could see that, but you understand why I'm asking you that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you can feel like, I made it.
But now you can't just have that.
Now it's like, oh shit.
But yeah, nah. For me, it was. Honestly, it might even been different than that. It was just like kind of like finally like thank you, all right, like that's cool, and that's why I was just like, you know, it was like what's next, and that's kind of how I am with all my placements. I'll get a placement, I'll be like, yo, that's dope. That's always a follow up. Are you still working? Do you need more? Because you know, I turned one opportunity into 3.
That's how you gotta see. Because that's what I want to ask you next. Because a lot of people make that assumption. So after you work with somebody, is it necessarily easy to work with them again?
Nah, not always.
Not always, right?
I mean, even like, cause I'm still working with Banks now, and I'm sure you'll probably ask a little bit about that, you know, like a little bit later. But I had to, I kept following up. After I got the 3 songs on the course of the inevitable, I had his contact on Twitter, but he's not super responsive on Twitter all the time. And I knew that at some point he's gonna be working again. So I went to, he had a show out here that he was doing. So I made sure.
We're in LA right now too, New York already.
Yeah, it was at Emporium. So he had a show out here. So I made sure I showed up to that.
Dope.
I waited till like the end of the show just to chop it up with him. Like let him do his like meet and greet with everybody. And then he was like, oh shit, like it's Cartune, what's up? And then I just let him know that I was still sending, cause I had his email, and he was just like, yo, you got some fire, bro. And I was
so at
like,
this point, he recognized you
Yeah, cause
That's dope.
yeah.
That's dope.
And then I followed up again, cause there was a show Conway did. I think it was like Sony Hall. Conway had a show where like Banks pulled up, and I'm working with some artists in like Conway's camp too. And I'm pretty much I'm working with a lot of I was always sending Conway's artists like beats and stuff like that. So I hit them, and then you know, they helped get me in there without like, you know, none of the craziness. And then Banks just happened to be one of the artists that Conway was bringing for that show to come out. So I ran into him again, you know, just refresh his memory, like, you know, because you know they get busy. And they got a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of different people.
But it's persistence like that. So it was after that, then he followed me back on Instagram. And that was where he keeps a lot more like in contact like via Instagram.
Okay.
And then I think he told me he might have started working on like another beat that I sent him too when I saw him in person. But everybody was like, you know, talking and everything like that. So I was like, all right, so I'm gonna just wait. And then we followed up from there, and then he hit me and he was just like, yo, I'm back working, you know, keep sending some heat. And, you know, I've been sending since then, and that's how we kind of, you know, established a relationship. But I had to, you know, I had to make sure I show up to that show up to the next one to follow up, because, you know, I'm sure there's other producers that was on the album that, you know, they don't have that same contact anymore, you know? It was like through somebody, and then
yeah, that's a good point.
So there is like leg work that you got to do to be consistent and try to, you know, especially when you on the come up, you know, it's not,
especially when you on the come up,
not super easy.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people make those assumptions, like you said, you've been on Twitter. I'm on Twitter heavy. You know what I mean? I'm on Twitter heavy, and I have so many different conversations, and it's like people say the craziest shit. It's not crazy. Just make a lot of assumptions, because just because you work with somebody, like you said, it's not necessarily even the talent. It could be the contact you had, you lost. It could be so much gap in the time frame that they do something again that it's a new crop of people.
And it happens, you know, there's artists that you work with for that one time and then you don't work with again. It was just, you had what they was looking for that project at that time. So it's like, sometimes it's like strictly business, and you know, they might not reach back out to you. You know, sometimes you might play stuff with, I play stuff with artists sometimes, where they might not even follow you back and stuff. It's just like, you know, strictly business. It really just depends.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just want to salute to your persistence, man, and let the people understand that up and coming producers understand that it's just not about the beats. I try to preach this shit all the time. It's the networking too, man. You got to get out there. You got to get comfortable with following up, and you have to put that ego aside as far as reaching out to people.
Biggest thing, man. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people, like, the funny thing is, like, after I have the run that I'm planning to have this year, almost everybody you think of, they're gonna be able to go back and find a DM from me. They're gonna be able to find a DM, an email from me reaching out. It's gonna be there. I mean, even when Banks followed, because Banks, I think his DMs were open, but obviously he get like when he followed me back and he responded, there was a DM from like a year or two ago where I was just like, yo, trying to send beats. So I'm sure when he followed me and he opened like this DM, he probably saw that and was like, oh, like this person. But that's gonna be the case with a lot of artists. But you know, again, I don't look at it. It's like, it's not an ego thing. It's like, okay, like in my eyes, it's like, yo, you gonna answer this DM now, or you gonna answer it later? Because I'm gonna still put in the legwork to get, you know, to get where I need to get.
You know, that's why I try to touch on that part as well as just besides the music, because I think the industry does such a good job of selling dreams, and I think artists do such a good job of selling like this shit ain't really work.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to touch on this shit, because a lot of people, what they feel they shouldn't have to do, I kind of find surprising. Because like you said, there's been people that I've emailed before, and you know, it comes back around maybe a year later, year and a half later. Now we link up, we work. So, but you also, I want to touch on some of the people you worked with. This guy is kind of like, he's kind of slept on, man. You work with Bugs Baguettes.
Oh yeah.
That's my guy right there, man. That's Queens in the building, Far Rock in the building. And I got on to him. He did a project with Prodigy, and then I started checking his shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, how did you guys link up?
That was Twitter too, honestly.
See, man, I love fucking Twitter, man.
And I did 2 tracks with him. One, and one he had like Fat Trell on at the time too. It was live. But yeah, he was somebody I just got in contact with on Twitter. Like it was just reaching out, like ego aside, like just simple tweets like, yo, trying to send some beats. And as I started to get placements, it's obviously easier when you got a couple people in your bio that other people recognize. That gets you the shot for them to listen. And even then, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. I mean, but you want that listen though, because that's where it starts. So I mean, it serves its purpose.
Facts. That's better than
getting dubbed.
Yep. And that happens a lot. People see again, y'all see that I got on the course of the inevitable. Y'all didn't see that 2 years prior. I sent Banks a DM. He didn't see it and was trying to figure it out. Like how it works is like they always gonna see when something works. They're not gonna see like all the attempts and all that. So you're right. Sometimes it might look a little more simple than it is, and I think of other producers as they working too. So if I'm sending out like 1 or 2 beats a day, there's somebody out there sending out 10, and there's somebody out there reaching out, and there's somebody out there that's not afraid to be like DM somebody like, yo, just looking for an email. Let me know if you're trying to work. So again, a lot of it is putting the ego aside, and just trying to get the results. At the end of the day, as long as you're not like selling yourself out or nobody else out.
That's how I feel about it. As long as you're not, like you said, you're not going against any type of morale or, you're not doing anything slimy. Like, I mean, okay, so let me ask you this though. It can also be fear too, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be ego. They kind of maybe scared to reach out.
Yeah, sometimes, it could be that.
Fear, man. Get over that shit, man. Because you can't be scared to try to make your dreams come true, dog.
To me, it ain't nothing more scary than wanting to do something and not even giving yourself a chance to do it, man. That's scary.
That's scary, because then you just a what if all around.
Yep. That's worse than getting somebody saying they don't want it. Now you got to sit and think, what if they did want it? I could have sent it. I could have had a placement. I'd rather just know,
Yeah, and you got to be prepared for that in this game. In the service business, you're gonna get some no's. You're gonna get people who it was yes at the moment and it turned into a no.
I didn't even mention. I sent before I got those 3 beats for Course to the Inevitable. I sent him probably like 25 or 30. Yeah. That's what people don't know.
That's what people. So what's your day like with that? Like how many beats would you say you knock out in a week?
It really depends on my week, and it depends on like the groove I'm in. Like I could have a day where I make 4 in like a couple of hours. Then I might have another day where I make like 2, another day where I make 1, another day where I start like a beat, don't finish it, start a beat, don't finish it. So it really just depends. But when you're creating, you don't want to, you always want to be working, but you don't want to force it. Because you still want it to sound good, you don't want to over frustrate yourself to where it's not coming naturally and things like that. So
and you might overlook shit that you wouldn't have because you're rushing. But I do want to ask that have you ever been in a situation where you got hit up for a beat and you was kind of pressed for time, or they kind of wanted it in a timely fashion?
Nah, not really. The biggest platform I've had so far was with Lloyd Banks and everybody hearing that. But I'll do a lot of other stuff. I got a lot of other things in the works right now. I got like an R&B record.
I think you posted. I seen something. You did something with Bryson Tiller.
Yeah, I knew about Bryson Tiller back when he first came out a while back. He was I think he had to be 14 at the time. But I found out about him through another artist that I was working with, and I sent him beats. The song that actually it got leaked and it wasn't finished. It was a rough song, but it ended up going viral. It was crazy. It was right after he dropped Don't, and then the song ended up getting leaked and it went viral and stuff like that. And everybody, I've still got people asking me yo, when y'all gonna release that? I was like, yeah, it's probably over for that.
That's a dub. That's dope that you in R&B too, and you could spread your work. But I do want to ask. Who are some of the producers, I guess I could say, I won't say influence you, but I guess you kind of looked at when you were getting started and trying to come up with your sound?
At the time, it was absolutely Lex Luger, Southside, a few of like I always listened to like people like Alchemist and stuff like that. But at the time, like the biggest influence, because I knew that they really helped put like FL Studio on the map as like hip hop, as like using that for hip hop production.
At this time, you're in Florida at this time?
No, I was in Pennsylvania.
When you was getting started? Okay.
Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania. I was still playing ball, and yeah, like they were like pretty big influences. And it's also because, like I said, I saw that they were using the same program that I had, and the program actually, you can produce anything inside of like that program. So they was big influences. And you know, they had the run where they had the whole world listening to trap and Jay-Z on the trap beats and
the whole
stuff.
world. I ain't gonna front. So I want to know, do you remember who was the first person you like made your major placement with?
Actually, it was Dricky Graham. He made y'all remember that Snapbacks and Tattoos song?
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's from Jersey. Yeah.
Shout out to Jersey in the building.
Yeah, so I caught him just as that song was like blowing up and stuff like that. And then that was back when, you know, they was doing the Dat Piff mixtapes and all that. So he had like, his tape was hosted by like DJ Ill Will. So I got like 2 placements on that mixtape. And then from there, it just kind of like domino effects. Like when you start to get placements with people that are like known, it's like somebody that like knows them, they start to see it, they listen. So yeah, he was probably like the first at the time, like the first major artist that I got a placement with.
That's what you want, get your name circling. I see the latest, well, some of your later work, you did something with Shay Noir on her latest album. Shout out to her, she been killing the game.
Yeah, she's dope.
So how did that connect come about as far as?
Just DMing, man. I reached out.
Yeah, cause you doing all the legwork at this point, no manager, okay, that's dope.
Yeah, I reached out cause I stumbled across like, you know, her music and stuff like that, and she was dope. So I reached out, and I was sending beats, and she's also a producer too.
Yeah.
So I was like sending beats and stuff like that, and I just kept, you know, I stayed persistent, kept following up, and I ended up getting, you know, like a intro track and like an interlude track. So she didn't end up actually rapping.
She didn't rap while like
But she rapped over one of my beats. She got a freestyle out on like I think it's highofflife.com, and you know, she ended up posting that. Like Spec posted that. So she did ended up rapping. She rapped on that like as a freestyle, but it wasn't like on the album and stuff like that. But yeah, her album. Yeah, shout out to her. Her album was
food for thought. Yo, shout out to Shay. She been killing it.
Fire.
So I mean, is there any other artists you want to mention that you worked with, and you know the stuff you got coming up, and what the people could expect for the 2022?
The project I worked on with is RJ Payne. Yeah, I did the Blood Everywhere with Redman.
Shit is fire.
And then I did
he killed that shit.
The other joint with Inspector Deck.
Killed that shit.
Yeah, honestly, I got stuff on the way with Jay Skis from Conway's camp. That's how the record that they did the record with Freeway.
Shout out to Freezer.
That was crazy because I just woke up and I saw he tagged Freeway, and I saw them like listening to the beat and everything, and you know, he'll get to tell that story of how that record materialized, and that'll be that's like bucket list people though. Those are the people that came.
I was just telling my cameraman, he out here fronting on Freezer, man. I was just telling him, yo, Freezer's you work with 2 of my favorite fucking all-time MCs, man. Salute to Freezer and Banks, man. That's what's up.
But yeah, right now I'm just keeping it going. I've been sending to like Benny's whole camp. Like, you know, Benny got his artists like Rick Hyde, Heem. I got stuff on the way with pretty much like all of them. I definitely got some more locked in with Banks.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to all of that.
The album is done, and I'm gonna just say my presence is here now.
About to be it.
It's here now.
Listen, the trajectory is going up, man. I love to see it. You know what I'm saying? NY all day. But besides you being from New York, you know, you got quality work. I see, you know, you're not really concerned with the extra shit. You're just trying to get that good music out there, get your name established, and build that brand. So I definitely respect that. So I just got a few more questions before we close out. I want to ask, what would you tell your just starting out self right now? What would be the most important thing to you to tell your just starting out self?
That's crazy. I would just say, like, obviously, or maybe not obviously, like, be patient, and at the time that it takes you to get to where you want to be is important. Because, like, looking back, I probably would have wished I was, like, in the position that I'm starting to be in now, like, sooner. But honestly, if I was in that position sooner, I would have messed something up somewhere. I would have not had the right, information. There's a lot of stuff you got to educate yourself about in music before you really get involved. And a lot of it is a learning process. There's a learning curve. Not everybody is going to have somebody to teach it to you. And there's big mistakes that you can make early on in your career that you can't really come back from. So I would just tell myself, be patient, stay diligent, keep working. And there's a saying, they say it takes like 10 years to become an overnight success. And I'm right around on like the 10-year mark, and that's what it feels like. It's like it takes 10 years to give yourself a chance to get, that opportunity. But yeah, and then for any like other like upcoming producers, because it's crazy because I get messages now and stuff like, yo, like, how'd you get this placement? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? And I always tell them, like, yo, keep going and educate yourself, and don't let anybody like make it seem like you always have to go through other people to get things, because like 95% of the placements I got them directly through the artists, and it's from reaching out, and that helps you to be able to build the relationship. Like, obviously, if you have other people that can help you to get placements, you can go through that avenue too, but that wasn't something that I had, so I had to make these connections myself.
Gotta respect it, and like you said, it's paying. I mean, like I said, I know always more levels, but it's paying off as far as the route to where you're trying to go. So
exactly,
that's right there. So now I just want to ask some fan questions as far as your perspective in rap. I would like, what are 3 albums you say that were produced perfectly, in your opinion? Not what anybody else saying, not with the charts or fans. If 3 is too much, you give me 2. 3 albums that you feel that was just produced perfectly.
The first one I have to say, Get Rich or Die Trying, 50.
That shit. Production is crazy on that shit.
That's one of the best hip hop albums of all time. And I would say, I'd say Illmatic.
Illmatic changed the game with the all-star line of production. Okay.
If I had to pick a third, let me see if I could think of something a little more recent. It's tough. I'm on the spot. Honestly, I think The Hunger for More was excellent production too.
Niggas be sleeping on my man catalog. His album catalog is crazy. The Hunger for More was all-star lineup too.
Yeah. I'd say I would like a lot of the first, like Beg for Mercy. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Beg for Mercy.
Is crazy.
Cause it has like the gritty, grimy. It got like the club radio record for the ladies. Yup, from start to finish.
Crazy. It's funny you brought that up because they was just trying to. I'm not even gonna go there, but Beg for Mercy is one of the illest group albums ever. Like you said, the production is nuts on there. So we got Illmatic, we got Beg for Mercy. And who's the 50?
Get Rich or Die Trying.
50, you got 50. So those all are fucking dope picks right there. Who is your favorite rapper producer?
Rapper producer.
Who is your favorite rapper producer?
That's a tough one.
I know that's a tough one. There's a lot of them.
That's a tough one. I listened to a lot of like Eminem when he was early, but I don't think people realize how much he actually produced. Like he produced like Banks, like On Fire. He produced like Carry the Cross, I believe, for like Nas. Just coming up at the time, at the space that was like rap was in at the time he was out, I thought like Eminem was obviously he was one of the GOATs. But I picked him because obviously he's considered one of like the GOAT rappers. But I think because of that, he's not. They almost forget about him producer wise, and he's responsible for a lot, like Renegade.
He got some joints. I think he probably gets left out because he doesn't have the bulk. Like he does have some placements, but the stuff that he kind of oversee, didn't really. But nah, he definitely got some joints right there.
Yeah, on the spot, I would have to say.
I salute the MB. Just dropped something recently too. So this is my last and final question. This isn't new, but because this is kind of how hip hop was to begin with, one producer, one MC. But we've been kind of going back to that lane, especially the spitter crowd. The MC's been kind of going back to just one producer. So right now, if you could choose someone you could produce the whole album for, who would that person be? Or at least one of them. Not to say, I'm sure there's many, but who would be one of them be?
Not to be like cliche, but Banks.
PLK, you might so go ahead and say
Banks.
Fucking PLK. Yo,
and it's a strong possibility. I'ma just say that.
Listen, you heard it here first. Cartune Beatz, man. A whole Banks album. We gonna talk that shit into fruition. Harlem, Queens, LA. We in the building, man. This is On Deck with Deme. Thank you for your time, my God. Keep it up. Keep the good music and hip hop. Deme D, Mr. Everywhere. You never there. Subscribe, share. Hit that red button, man. Press that red button, man.